Alright guys, welcome to Router 2 Brief, Saltwater Aquarium Care. I'm going to hook up the nitrate reactor again. I told you what a nitrate reactor does. It basically feeds the okay, here's the deal. There's a cycle in your aquarium. For those of you just starting out the hobby, and the cycle is this. And I've said this before in my other videos. When the fish eat, they go to the bathroom, just like you do. Their waste turns into ammonia. A lot of other things break down into ammonia as well in your tank, like uneaten food and stuff like that. That ammonia, because of the bacteria that's living on your rock and in your sand and on your glass and in your sump and everywhere, that's why they call it live rock, because it's filled with bacteria. That bacteria is going to break down the ammonia into nitrates. You've heard of the nitrates? Then the nitrates are going to be broken down into nitrates. You have to get the nitrates out of your water, and the way you do that is by water changes. And it takes a lot of water to get the nitrates out of your tank. So the nitrates have to be removed from your water. I do a 10% water change in my 125 gallon aquarium every week. I tried doing it every 2 weeks, but it wasn't good enough. My nitrates were getting a little high. That's because I have big fish. I've got a lot of tangs. Sugar is a carbon source. White vinegar is a carbon source. Alcohol is a carbon source. And the one thing I do not like about sugar dosing, it works really well. I was dosing 1 teaspoon of sugar per 60 gallons of aquarium water, so I was doing 2 teaspoons a day. No big deal. Throw 2 teaspoons of sugar in the sump, feed the fish, and I'm done. Well, I'm going to try this nitrate reactor again. I tried this before and I had it going for like 4 or 5 months. I didn't see any difference. I'm going to try it again. And a nitrate reactor is this. This is a reactor, and it's called a nitrate reactor because it has biopellets in there that are going to tumble, and those are a carbon source for anaerobic bacteria. Anaerobic bacteria gets rid of the nitrates, and anaerobic bacteria is present in very low oxygen environments, which is why anaerobic bacteria lives deep within rock, deep within a deep sand bed, or they feed off of these biopellets, which are a carbon source. They also feed off of sugar, which is a carbon source. When you're dosing carbon, you have to remember not to use too much because it does lower the oxygen level in your tank. How much, I'm not sure, but that's why you don't want to dose too much. If you do dose sugar or alcohol, you want to make sure to not dose too much for that reason. Also, your water may be a little cloudy after doing so. That's fine. It's just a little bacterial bloom. You caused a lot of anaerobic bacteria population to explode in your tank, resulting in cloudy water. That usually clears up in about 6 to 8 hours. It does not harm your coral. It does not harm your fish. You'll be totally fine. So what I'm going to do now is hook up this, and how this works is I've got this hose. One is going to connect to the intake of the protein skimmer. One's going to connect to the intake of the biopellet reactor. The other one's going to go to the export of the biopellet reactor. It's just going to suck water in from the sump, and then it's going to feed the anaerobic bacteria in the actual cylinder, and then export the water out back into the sump. You want to have the export coming out of the nitrate reactor going to the intake of your protein skimmer, alright? Because that is going to get taken up. You want to export those anaerobic bacteria that are feeding on the nitrates, because you want the nitrates to be taken up by your protein skimmer so they can be exported. This is your protein skimmer. Water gets sucked up through a nozzle on the other side that you can't see. The water, there's a motor in the bottom. It gets the water bubbles and gets churned. There's millions of micro bubbles. When they pop in the cone here, it's gonna basically release the debris that the bubbles take up. And then you're gonna empty this cup when it gets filled to the top. It's brown. It's darker than it actually shows on the video. This is all the fish waste and micro-sized debris and solids that have been taken out of the water. This is also where the nitrates are going to be delivered once the anaerobic bacteria feeds on them. You want to have the export hose go to the input of your protein skimmer so they get sucked up and taken to the cup, which is dumped out like once a week. I dump mine out, because if you don't and you just have this hose, say, pointed to your last chamber that goes back into your tank, you're actually feeding your tank with nitrates. It's kind of pointless. So get the hose as close as you can to your protein skimmer input. So for this, I'm using a Rio Plus 2500 pump. I love the Rio Plus pumps. They're very strong, very reliable, very inexpensive, very inexpensive. I think I got this 2500 plus for like 40 bucks, something like that, on Amazon. Comes with all these really cool accessories and adapters. The flow rate, I usually leave it straight up so it's max flow for this. So you're going to put this in your sump. It's going to suck water into it. It's going to, hose is going to connect. It's going to put the flow into your biopellet reactor and churn those biopellets. It's important to churn them because they'll stick together otherwise. Now the biopellets have been sitting in water for the last 3 days because you want to get them soaked so they don't float. So they churn really well. So let's hook it up. Alright, let's power it on. The sump is even a little more crammed now, but see what we get. Now what you can do to kickstart this is use Zeostart 3 to feed the anaerobic bacteria, or make sure you sugar dose your tank for about a week. You want to make sure you've got enough anaerobic bacteria in your tank, or else this is really good for nothing. So you want to kickstart the population by using this. This works pretty good. I'm going to use this and sugar for about a week or two every day, and then there should be enough anaerobic bacteria to get fed by the carbon in there. So this may take a month or two. I'll keep you guys posted to kick in. Take care. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more cool reef tank videos. I'll see you next weekend.